Mexico City is often called the cultural heart of Mexico. It's packed with history, cool neighborhoods, amazing food, and surprisingly affordable world-class museums, making it a fantastic travel destination. In this video, we'll show you everything we did in 3 days in Mexico City, including what we ate, where we stayed, and how we got around. Our trip began right at the heart of it all, the Metropolitan Cathedral. Sitting right on the main square, this gorgeous structure catches the eye immediately. It took many centuries to build, from 1573 to 1813, so the architecture features a mix of different styles from Gothic to Neoclassical. This is the largest cathedral in Latin America and functions as a seat of the Archdiocese of Mexico. Free to enter, this is one of the must-see stops if you're in the city. Right outside the cathedral is a huge square. Despite the crowds, it feels really spacious because it's so big. You also find a beautiful giant Mexican flag and many vendors selling snacks and souvenirs. But the most interesting thing here is the lines of locals queuing up for spiritual cleansing ceremonies called Limpia. What struck me was the contrast, shamanic rituals in front of a Catholic church. This mix of beliefs just coexists like it's no big deal, and it's part of daily life in Mexico City. Just a short walk from the cathedral is another jewel of Mexico City and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Templo Mayor is the heart of the ancient Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan. Built in the 1300s, it's dedicated to both the sun and war god and the rain and agriculture god. Unfortunately, much of it was destroyed when the Spanish arrived in the 1500s and only rediscovered in the 1970s. The entrance ticket costs just 100 Mexican pesos, and you really get bang for your buck. You can get close to the ruins, and the museum inside is fantastic, with vivid displays, artifacts, and cool insights about Aztec life and beliefs. By the way, many info boards are in both Spanish and English, but by the end, the English translations kind of disappear, so best to read up a bit before visiting. But overall, Templo Mayor can't be missed if you're in Mexico City. For lunch, we tried a classic local dish, chicken in mole sauce. This unique sauce blends chilies, nuts, and even chocolate. The black mole had a smoky, chocolatey depth, while the green one tasted a little like pesto. For a first taste of Mexico City's food scene, it was a promising start. Our next stop was Palacio Postal, the main post office, although it doesn't look like any post offices I've seen before. Built over 100 years ago by an Italian architect, the inside is bursting with opulence, covered in gold everywhere. It's hard to think it's still a functioning post office. Inside, there's also a small museum with great exhibits showing how postal services have evolved over the years. Some highlights include old school letterboxes and stamps, lots and lots of stamps. Right across from Palacio Postal is Palacio de Bellas Artes, designed by the same architect and just as over-the-top inside. It hosts performances like opera and ballets, but we didn't get to catch a show. However, we did explore some interesting artwork and sculptures inside. By the way, while walking around, this beautiful blue building may catch your eye. Casa de los Azulejos, also known as the House of Tiles, is yes, a house covered in tiles. Once an 18th century Baroque palace, it's now a fancy restaurant. On the way back to the main square, we stumbled into Dulcería de Celaya. This is said to be the oldest candy store in the city and is packed wall to wall with traditional Mexican sweets. Of course, we walked out with a few treats, a sweet way to end our first day in Mexico City, already looking forward to what day 2 will bring. Mexico City's metro is super affordable, surprisingly efficient, and pretty easy once you get a hang of it. I'll share more about how to use it later in the video, but for now, we hopped on the metro to get to our breakfast stop. Although this street-side taco stand is small, it's said to serve some of the city's best tacos. After ordering one of everything, we watched them grill and assemble the tacos. Some of our favorites were the spicy chorizo, the el pastor, and the carne enchilada, topped with their mouth-watering salsas. With our bellies filled, we made our way to the largest park in Mexico, Chapultepec Park. With lots of shade, greenery, and surprisingly friendly squirrels, it's a great place to get a good dose of nature. The street vendors were very popular with kids, selling everything from face masks and toys to temporary tattoos, cotton candy, fun photo stops, and more. But that's not all for Chapultepec Park. Spanning over 1,700 acres, it's also home to attractions like the Chapultepec Castle, the National Anthropology Museum, and even the Chapultepec Zoo. We started at the castle, which is probably the closest Mexico's ever had to a royal palace. Originally built in the 1780s as a summer retreat, it later became home to Emperor Maximilian I and Empress Carlota. Today, it's the National History Museum, covering everything from Aztec times to Mexico's independence. The exhibits are packed with interesting pieces like murals depicting Mexico's fight for independence, royal carriages, and even a rack of skulls used by the Aztecs. You can also peek into the lavish rooms once used by Maximilian and Carlota, still filled with 19th century furniture. After a quick Starbucks stop to cool down, we headed to the National Anthropology Museum, also a part of the park. If you're interested in Mexico's pre-Columbian history, this is an essential stop. Walking through the museum felt like we were being transported across different regions and time periods, from ancient Mesoamerican civilizations to the living traditions of indigenous communities today. Our third stop at Chapultepec Park was the Chapultepec Zoo. Unlike most major zoos, we were surprised that this one is free to enter. While there are small fees for special exhibits, we actually got to see most of the zoo without paying a penny. If we could change one thing about day 2, it would be to just focus on 2 attractions rather than 3. Each of them was massive, and we found it tough to cover all of them in one day. You're better off picking 2 so you can take your time with the exhibits. And although our legs were aching by now, we still had our last activity of the night: Lucha Libre. This is Mexico's take on professional wrestling, full of colorful masks, over-the-top theatrics, and drama. I was looking forward to watching a show, and it didn't disappoint. There are 2 main arenas for Lucha Libre in Mexico City: Arena Mexico, the big one, and Arena Coliseo, which is smaller and more intimate. We went with Arena Coliseo, and honestly, the atmosphere was great. Because tickets for the good seats often sell out, make sure to buy yours in advance online. Our seats in the 3rd row at Ring 1B were slightly pricier, but we were right by the action, had a clear view of the stage, and even got to see the wrestlers making their entrances up close. At one point, the action spilled onto our row and it felt like we were part of the fun. Just a tip, try to leave a little earlier before the crowd jams out the exits. So with all the drama and energy of Lucha Libre, we wrapped up the night on a high note. The next day, we'll be heading out to explore further outside the city, and we couldn't wait. For day 3, we booked a day trip to explore Mexico City's most interesting neighborhoods, Xochimilco and Coyoacán. Starting with Xochimilco, this is a place that still holds traces of its Aztec roots. The main highlight here is a network of canals, where you can ride along in colorful boats called trajineras. Along the way, smaller boats floated up to us, offering drinks, snacks, and even full meals. If you are up for it, you can pay to have a mariachi band climb aboard and play a few songs too. At the end of the ride, it's customary to give a small tip to your boatman. After the cruise, there's a small market by the dock where you can pick up some souvenirs before heading off to the next stop. Was the experience a little kitschy? Yes. But it's such a fun, classic Mexican experience that I would still recommend it. After Xochimilco, we made our way to Coyoacán, one of the oldest neighborhoods in Mexico City and the site of the first Spanish settlement. Today, it's a colorful, trendy area known for its colonial buildings, leafy plazas, and artsy atmosphere. We really enjoyed just walking around looking at cool shops and trying street food. For instance, ice cream is also a big thing here, and you'll find all kinds of flavors. Another popular street snack here is chicharrón preparado, made of crispy pork rind loaded with sauce and toppings. One fun detail is you'll spot coyote motifs all over the place. That's because Coyoacán means place of coyotes, and over time, the coyote became a symbol of the neighborhood. For souvenirs, check out Mercado Artesanal Mexicano. This is Coyoacán's largest market with over 400 vendors, and you're sure to find something you like. This area is also home to the Frida Kahlo Museum. Frida is a cultural icon in Mexico, famous for her bold self-portraits, and this is the home she grew up in. For art enthusiasts, it's a must-see. If you ask me, what makes Coyoacán special is the laid-back vibe. It's a nice break from the hustle of the city center and a feel-good place to be. One thing to be aware of with tours is that they sometimes include unlisted stops where guides may earn a commission from your purchases. We first stopped at a well-known silver store said to be founded by the same guy who made jewelry for the Titanic film. Then, we were taken to a souvenir shop that had a room filled with props from a Mexican sitcom, El Chavo del Ocho. Apparently, it's hugely popular in Latin America, and our group was excited to dress up as the characters for photos. Back in the city, we came across a cauldron of bubbling enets that smelled heavenly, featuring tacos from every part of the cow or pig imaginable. This will be dinner and a delicious end to our 3 days in Mexico City. To wrap up, here's a quick fire round of tips for traveling in Mexico City. First, language. Surprisingly, English isn't widely spoken here, even at big attractions. You can use a translation app, but it's best to know some basic Spanish. For money exchange, the airport actually gave us the best rate. But don't change too much, because there are reports of organized robbery. To get around Mexico City, grab this rechargeable transport card. It works on the metro, metrobus, RTP buses, trolley buses, cable cars, and light rail. We bought ours at a metro station for 15 pesos and shared one card between the two of us. We recommend topping it up with around 100 pesos per person to start. Also, some buses have a pink women-only section. Good to know so you don't sit in the wrong spot. Finally, SIM cards are really cheap here. We got one at OXXO for under $4 with 7 days of unlimited data, and the staff even helped us activate it. Alternatively, You can also get an eSIM that we use traveling around the world, link in description. Hopefully these tips help you feel more prepared for your trip to Mexico City. If you found this useful, don't forget to check out our other videos from our Central America travel series.